Time is a funny thing. The past, the future, somehow it all gets mixed up. And there's really only one way to keep it straight, by remembering what really matters. Of course, keeping sight of what's important can be hard. Sometimes it feels like we're always going to be alone, and the only thing keeping us company is our own pain. We start telling ourselves that we're the problem, especially when things happen that we can't control. And that's why at some point we have to learn to let go of the pain, let go of the regret, and remember what we're really fighting for: the people we love, the people who matter. And we have to let that be the thing that guides us through the most treacherous times and through the darkest nights. That is the compass. Hey everybody, I'm Glenn and this is Dad After. Life changed, fatherhood didn't. Because your story, it isn't over. Today's episode is called The Compass. And I've been thinking about that opening for a while. About direction, about purpose, about this idea that somewhere inside of us, we're supposed to have this compass that tells us exactly where to go or what to do. As men and fathers, we're supposed to know the direction, have a plan, know what comes next. We're supposed to lead, provide, protect, figure it out. And for a long time, I think I believed that if I was doing life right, I should always know where north was. I should always know where I was going. But lately, I've had to admit something to myself. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have no damn idea which direction is north. And I think there are a lot of men walking around who feel exactly the same way. They just don't say it. There have been different times in my life when I felt lost. I remember losing my job while my wife was pregnant. That was one of those moments. You're supposed to be providing, you've got a child coming. And suddenly one of the things that you thought was solid underneath your feet is gone. Then there was building businesses, trying to create something, trying to provide more, trying to give my family a better life. And somewhere in that pursuit, there were times I was working so hard for my family that I was missing time with my family. That's a difficult thing to admit because you can have good intentions and still end up going in the wrong direction. And then came my divorce. And that was different because that wasn't losing a job. It wasn't losing a business idea. It wasn't a bad month. It felt like losing the entire roadmap. The future I thought I was walking towards was suddenly gone. The family structure I thought I was building changed. The role I had built a lot of my identity around changed. And after that, something in me got quiet. I used to have these ideas that would hit me: businesses, plans, things I wanted to build, things I could get excited about and almost see it before it existed. There was a fire there. And after the divorce, that fire went cold. Maybe not completely out, but cold. And that has been hard for me. because I remember what it felt like to have that passion, to know what I wanted, to see the future. And there have been times lately where I've looked ahead and I just can't see it. I can't see where all of this ends up. And that's uncomfortable for me. Because I'm somebody who wants a plan. I want direction. I want something to build towards. I want the compass to point somewhere. You know, I was thinking about what my true north has been throughout my life. And the answer has actually changed over the years. At one point, being a good husband was a huge part of it. Being a good son, a brother, and then I became a father. And that changed everything. But when I really started thinking about it, there was something underneath all of those things that stayed pretty consistent. I wanted to provide. And when I say provide, I don't just mean make enough money to pay the electric bill. I mean, I wanted to give my family a life they could only dream about. I wanted to give my children opportunities I never had. I wanted them to experience things, to travel, learn, grow, try things, fail at things. I wanted them to find what they love. I wanted to build something that gave them options. And I wanted to become the kind of father they could look at someday and say, my dad worked his ass off, but he was there. He loved us. He protected us. He taught us. And he built something that mattered. That's always been somewhere inside of me. But life has a funny way of making you forget. That's what that opening quote means to me. The past starts getting mixed up with the future, and before you know it, you're not living in either one. You're stuck somewhere between regret and fear. While I was thinking about this episode, I closed my eyes and I tried to picture what being lost actually feels like. Not describe it, picture it. And the image that came into my mind was a forest. A thick forest. I'm standing in the middle of it, and I can't see a way out. I don't know which way I came from. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where north is. There's no trail, no map, no compass, and the GPS is broken. And everywhere I look, there's trees. But those trees aren't really trees. They're anger, frustration, sadness, hurt, fear, regret, questions. All of it. And they're so thick. They're blocking the sunlight. I can't see beyond them. I can't feel the heat from that passion I used to have. I can't see the edge of the forest. I'm just there, lost. And I think there are moments in life where that's exactly what it feels like. You don't necessarily want to quit, you just don't know where to go. And there's a difference. You want to move, you just don't know which direction you're supposed to move in. So you stand there, looking around, waiting for some kind of sign, waiting for the compass to start working again, waiting for someone to hand you a map, for a giant beam of sunlight to break through the trees and show you exactly where to go. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes There's no sign. There's no map. There's no voice telling you, go that way. And that's when I looked down at my feet. I realized I may not know where north is, but I know I can walk. I may not know where the forest ends, but I can take a step. One step. That's it. I don't need to know where I'll be in 5 miles. I don't need to know what the next 5 years of my life look like. I don't need to solve the rest of my life today. I can take one step, and then I can take another one, and then another. Maybe I'm walking in the wrong direction. Maybe I'm not. But either way, I'm learning. I'm moving. I'm paying attention. Because there may be a ravine in front of me. There may be snakes in the woods. There may be danger. There's probably another storm coming that I don't know about yet. But I can't worry about every possible danger before I even take the first step. What I can do is prepare myself, pay attention, and keep moving. If I see danger, I adjust. If there's something in front of me, I go around it. If I fall, I get back up. If I realize I'm going in the wrong direction, I just change directions. But I keep walking. Because the alternative is staying right where I'm at. And I know what happens if I do that. I could sit down in that forest. I could stay right there. I could sit in my own shit and wallow in it. I could think about everything that happened, everything that went wrong, every person that hurt me, every decision I regret, every opportunity that I missed, every mistake I made. I could replay it over and over and over. And maybe some of it would be justified. Maybe I really was wronged. Maybe somebody did hurt me. Maybe something happened that I genuinely could not control. But even if all of that is true, what happens if I just sit there? Eventually, sitting in your own shit starts attracting things. Buzzards, scavengers, predators. And I don't just mean people. Sometimes the predators are inside of us. Bitterness, alcohol, drugs, anger, isolation, self-destruction, self-hatred, and hatred towards others. That voice starts telling you, this is just who you are now. That voice that tells you you're never getting out. You already screwed everything up. Nobody really cares. What's the point? Pain can be comfortable. Not because it feels good, but because it's familiar. And sometimes familiar pain feels safer than an unknown future. So we stay there. We build our own little home in it. We decorate the damn thing and then wonder why we still feel trapped. Pain has a purpose. I believe that. Pain tells you something happened. Regret can teach you something too. There are things in my life that I regret. There are things I would definitely do differently. There are places where I failed. And I think being a man means being able to look at those things and say, yeah, that was me. I did that. I need to own it. But there's a difference between learning from your pain and allowing your pain to lead your life. There's a difference between saying I've failed at something and saying I'm a failure. There's a difference between saying I made a bad decision and saying I'm a bad person. There's a difference between saying my marriage ended and saying I am incapable of being loved. Pain likes to take one thing and turn it into everything. One failure becomes I always fail. One person leaves and it becomes everybody leaves. One bad year becomes my life is ruined. Pain speaks in absolutes. Always, never, nobody, everybody. And if you listen to it long enough, pain becomes the compass. And when pain becomes your compass, every direction points back towards the wound. Regret does the same thing. If regret holds the compass, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to walk backwards, trying to get back to a moment that doesn't exist anymore, trying to become somebody you used to be, trying to change something that already happened. You can learn from the past. You can honor the past. You can grieve it, but you cannot live there. And I think that's one reason this podcast has meant something to me. Because after that fire in me went cold, this was one of the first things that sparked something in me again. I had wanted to do a podcast for a long time. I just didn't know what to do it about. I thought about hunting or talking about whatever came to mind, but nothing ever really grabbed me. And then one day, Dad After hit me, and I knew what it meant. Dad after divorce, Dad after a failure, Dad after rebuilding, Dad after his own legacy, a dad after God's own heart, Dad after whatever chapter changed him. What comes after? That's the question. Because every dad has an after. Something happens. Something changes. Sometimes it's something you choose. Sometimes it's something somebody else chooses. Sometimes life just punches you right in the mouth. But there's always an after. And the after is where you get to decide what happens next. That's what I think I've been trying to figure out through these episodes. I'm not sitting behind this microphone because I have life figured out. I don't. I'm not a therapist. I'm not some fatherhood expert. I'm a dad who has lived through some shit. I've made some mistakes. I've learned something. And I'm still learning things. And maybe sharing what I've learned and what I'm still trying to figure out helps another dad take his next step. Maybe that's part of my compass too. Which brings me back to the quote. Because when you can't see the future and the past is pulling at you, you have to remember what actually matters. What are you fighting for? Not fighting against, fighting for. There's a difference. If all you're doing is fighting against your ex, fighting against your boss, fighting against what happened, against the world, eventually, you're just angry. But what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? For me, it's my kids. It's the future I still want to build with them. It's becoming the kind of father that they deserve. It's building a life where I can provide, but also be present. It's becoming stronger, more capable, more patient, more disciplined and grounded in my faith. It's rebuilding things that matter. It's creating something my children can look back on someday and know Dad didn't stay down. That's different. Because now I have a direction. I may not have the entire map, but I know which way the compass should point towards purpose. And maybe this is where we screw ourselves up sometimes. We hear the word purpose and think it has to be something enormous. Like you got to discover that one giant reason God put you on this earth. Maybe. But maybe purpose also looks like getting out of bed tomorrow morning, going to work, making the phone call you've been avoiding, taking care of your body, going to the gym, going to church, getting counseling, putting the bottle down, calling your dad, apologizing to somebody, forgiving somebody. Maybe it's starting that thing you've been so scared to start. Recording the podcast, picking your kids up, putting your phone away, and actually being there with them. Purpose can be huge. But sometimes purpose is just the next right step. And maybe the next right step is how you eventually find north again. Here's something I don't want to fake on this podcast. I still don't know exactly where I'm going. There are pieces of my future that I cannot see right now. There are pieces of myself I'm still trying to understand. I'm still trying to get some of that fire back. The passion, the excitement, that feeling of seeing something in my head and knowing I'm going to build that. I miss that version of myself sometimes. But maybe I'm making a mistake when I think my job is to become that guy again. Maybe I'm not supposed to go backwards. Maybe the man I'm becoming isn't supposed to be the same man I was before. Maybe he carries some scars. Maybe he's a little slower to trust. He thinks a little more before he moves. He's more grateful for time. Maybe he understands that providing isn't just money. Maybe he understands that being there matters too. Maybe he knows what it's like to lose something, so he doesn't take the next thing for granted. I don't know exactly who that man is yet, but I'm walking towards him. And right now, that's enough. And that brings me back to the forest. Because here's the thought that stuck with me. If I keep walking long enough, eventually the forest has to end. I may not be able to see the light from where I am. I may not be able to feel the warmth of it yet. But that doesn't mean it's not there. There might be miles of trees ahead of me. There may be mountains and valleys. I might take a wrong turn. I might have to backtrack. I might fall and get cut up. I might get tired. But somewhere, there is an edge to that forest. And I'm never going to find it by sitting still. Maybe that's what hope really is. Hope isn't pretending everything is okay. Hope isn't lying to yourself and saying nothing hurts. Hope isn't looking at the darkest night of your life and pretending it's daytime. Hope is knowing the sun is still there, even when you can't see it, and then taking another step. So if you're listening to this and you feel lost, I want you to do something. Don't try to figure out the rest of your life tonight. Don't try to solve the next 10 years. Don't try to draw the whole map. Just look down. Look at your feet. Can you take one step? Take it. Maybe your step is getting out of bed tomorrow. Maybe it's applying for the job, making the call. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's telling your kids that you're sorry. Maybe it's telling them that you love them. Maybe it's shutting your mouth for once and actually listening. Maybe it's walking away from something that's destroying you. Maybe it's starting over. Whatever it is, take the step. And then when you get there, take another one. You don't have to know where the forest ends. You just have to refuse to die where you fall. Time is a funny thing. The past, the future, it all gets mixed up. The past wants you to live in regret. The future wants you to live in fear. And somewhere between the two, it's easy to lose sight of today. It's easy to lose direction. It's easy to lose north. So remember what matters. Remember who you're fighting for. Remember the people you love. Remember the man you're trying to become. Let that guide you. Through the anger, the sadness, through the regret and confusion, through the treacherous of times, through the darkest of nights. Your compass should always point towards your purpose. And when you can't see your purpose clearly, start with the people you love. Start with the father you want your children to remember. Start there. Let that be north. And if you still can't see the way out, that's okay. You don't have to see it yet. Look down. Take a step. Then another. And then another. Because if you keep walking, eventually, the forest has to end. I'm Glenn, and this is Dad After. Life changed. Fatherhood didn't. Because your story, it isn't over. I'll see you next time. Keep walking.